Hello and welcome to the Drive Stakeholder Value course. My name is Dr. Suzanne Van Hove and I'll be working with you as we work our way through the requirements for this course. Before we get started, we have to go through some copyright statements, and my apologies up front as I have to read these directly. ITIL is a registered trademark of AXELOS Limited, used under permission of AXELOS Limited, all rights reserved. IT Infrastructure Library is a registered trademark of AXELOS Limited, used under permission of AXELOS Limited, all rights reserved. The swirl logo is a trademark of AXELOS Limited, used under permission of AXELOS Limited, all rights reserved. All other copyrights are property of their respective owners. And then the last one, all text is from the final draft of the ITIL 4 volumes, the CDS, DSV, HVIT, and DPI. It is also from the practice guides. Copyright AXELOS Limited 2019 and 2020, used under permission of AXELOS Limited, all rights reserved. Material is reproduced under license from AXELOS Limited. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, what are we going to do in this class? So, drive stakeholder value. It is around the customer journey, and that's really where it's focused, the entire customer journey and that set of activities. It's going to talk about the target markets, the various stakeholders, how do you manage stakeholder relationships, how do you shape demand, define service offerings, align expectations, agree service details, how do you onboard and offboard customers and users from those products and services, how do you work together with the stakeholders, the customer and the user, for that continual value co-creation, and then how do you realize and validate service value. So those are really the high-level learning objectives from the syllabus. We'll also be doing some practical exercises, and we will also help you prepare for the exam. So we do have 2 practice exams, and then we'll talk a little bit about some exam techniques at the end of the course. All right. So just to get this out of the way, the DSV exam, it's like every other ITIL 4 exam. It's 40 multiple choice questions. It is closed book. You have to achieve 70% or higher, which is 28 out of the 40 questions correct. You do have 90 minutes to complete it. If you are taking the exam in a non-native language, you actually get 113 minutes. But this is the part that is kind of important for you, and that is how the questions are distributed. And the question distribution is based on the learning objectives, or LOs. And we use that acronym quite a bit. It is on the syllabus. You will need to do a little bit of work on your own to pair up what's learning objective 1 and the 2 possible questions, etc. So learning objective 1 has 2 questions all the way down to learning objective 8, which has 5. I'll let you sort that out as you start studying for the exam. But the second piece that is important is the level that these questions are being written. So 15 questions are going to be written at Bloom's level 2, which is basically saying describe. And then 25 questions are written at Bloom's level 3, which is saying know how to do something. So the majority of the questions are at a higher thought process, so to speak, but you have to know how to do something. So keep that in mind as you look at the information and as you learn the information. We're going to revisit this exam structure at the end of the course, and we'll be telling you this again, but right now that's the way it's going to work. Okay, let's see. Materials to support the class. This is very important. Strongly advised that you have the volume ITIL 4 Drive Stakeholder Value. There's more information in there than what we can put on the slides. If we gave you everything that was in the book, we would just read you the book. And, honestly, you can do that yourself. What we're here to do is to point out what's critical, provide some alternative explanations, etc. But you do need to do some self-study on your own. You also need to have the practice guides. Within DSV, there are 8 practices that are called out and that you have to know specific information around. You can only get them from My AXELOS and My ITIL. So you would go to axelos.com, MyAXELOS/My ITIL, and as long as you have access, you can download all of the practice guides, and then there's also a plethora of other information. If you have passed an ITIL exam within the last year, you should have received a notice from AXELOS saying that you had a 1-year free access to this area. This is the only place that those practice guides are going to be available. You need to get them from there. We cannot share them with you, otherwise that would be a breach of copyright. If it's been longer than a year, it is a subscription service, so you would have to work out the financials with the AXELOS site and deal with it there. The student guide, the student materials that you can download from the site. Every slide is available. We also have a packet of extra notes. And those notes are basically the tables that you need to know for this exam. I have found that in these 4 volumes, actually 5 volumes, the authors love tables. They love to make lists and they love to make tables. And those tables are critical for the exam. So instead of having you flip through an ebook potentially and trying to find all these tables, I've taken all the tables that you need to know and that what we refer to in the class and have put them into a single document. This document for this class is 41 pages long. I strongly suggest you print it. I don't ask people to print too many things, but this is one that I suggest that you print because we're going to be going back and forth as we go through the lectures and refer to those slides and refer to those tables as we go through the slides. And the tables, some of them are quite large. They don't all fit on the slide, so it's just easier. Print that document, have it next to you, and then start studying it now. I did do some color coding in that document. Any table that has a red header, that table was specifically called out as something that you need to know. The other tables are within the context of the clauses that the syllabus refers to. They don't say you have to know it specifically, but the syllabus says you have to know all the content, so go figure. Most of the stuff in the tables are pretty good, so get in the habit of looking at those tables and start learning that information. I will tell you there are exam questions that come out of those tables. Other things that are available to download, there is a packet of review exercises. We will assign them as we go through the slides, and the answers are also there for you. The glossary is available, as well as the 2 sample exam papers. If it's my preference and I have any kind of control over you whatsoever, I would prefer that you not look at those exams until you have completed at least 1 viewing of the course. It would make more sense to use them that way, and at the last module of the course, we'll talk about how to use those sample exams. And then I think most importantly is that you should also download the syllabus. The syllabus is there for you. Please download it and follow along. It is calling out exactly what you need to know for this exam, chapter and verse, honestly. But the second thing that I want to point out is that there is a lot of duplication of the information. So in other words, a clause is being used to fulfill more than one learning objective or assessment criteria. I will only present the information once. And so I might refer back to it and say, hey, go look at this video or return and review this information, but I'm only going to refer to the information once, okay? So those are the materials to support the class. If you're a paper person, knock yourself out. There are 300 slides that you're going to have to go through, but thankfully they're listed for you two slides a page, so it's not too onerous on your printer. But definitely print the table file. It's just going to make your life a little bit easier. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. The application of DSV, or Drive Stakeholder Value, is looking at the service value chain at the demand and engage side, and then at the value delivery side. This is about the customer journey. It's not about the internal workings of the service provider, which is the center of that value chain. It is about where and how the customer and user engages with the service provider as they define services that they want, and then as they consume the services. Now, the customer and users may end up getting involved in obtain build, or in the transition side as touch points for UAT testing, so user acceptance testing, or to confirm iterations of a deployment, something along that line. But this course specifically is going to be looking at the two ends: demand, engage, and value. Okay, it is all about that customer journey. If you want to know about the value streams and how we work in and out of these, look at the CDS or take the CDS class, and you can see where the consumer or the various stakeholders would be touching that value stream in the delivery of a service. Okay. So this is specifically right from the syllabus. These are our learning outcomes. Under each learning outcome, there's a set of criterion that we are going to be talking about. All of the slides have the clause number that the information is from in the upper right-hand corner. So you're going to see a small gray number in the upper right-hand corner, and that's telling you where the information on the slide has come from. And you can just work your way down the slides and check it off on the syllabus as you go. But again, remember, there are duplicates. I'm not going to read these learning objectives to you again. I'm sure you've already read them. But every opening of a learning objective, we will look at the learning objective itself and the criterion below it, and then we will jump into the content criterion by criterion. Okay, so that is the administrative side of DSV. In our next video, we're going to just jump right in and start talking about customer journeys, and I look forward to seeing you then.